Could have everybody's attention. My name's Todd Murphy. I am the Communications Director for House Democrats. Before Rep. Khan comes in, I just wanted to give kind of a rundown of today's event, because it's not really our typical press conference. Representative Khan's going to be our only speaker today. She will give her remarks, and she will answer limited questions, but she will need to leave when she needs to leave. So I just want everybody to be aware. She also can't really talk specifically about the legal process or answer direct specific questions related to where things are in the legal process. And she's not going to be doing individual interviews. So she's going to say what she has to say, and she's going to get back to taking care of herself and getting better. So thanks everybody for coming out and supporting Representative Khan, and as soon as she's here, we'll get started in earnest. So thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace and blessings, may peace be upon you with God's mercy and blessing. I want to start by acknowledging all those that are by my side that have been with me this last week, that have kept me standing this last week, all those that reached out that kept me going this last week. I wanted to be here to state my story. I am the only one that can say what happened to me and what I experienced. And that's not what was made public to people. And so I think it's important for me, especially as part of my healing, to be able to make that known. Last week on Wednesday, it was a day of Eid. Muslims only have 2 holidays in the whole year, 2 Eid days. This was Eid al-Adha, that marks the end of the Hajj pilgrimage that happens every year. And for the longest that I can remember, my family has attended Eid at the Excel Center, even when it was the Civic Center. And that gathering every year is one of the largest Muslim gatherings in the state of Connecticut. Many people in the past have come to that gathering. We've had mayors, governors, everybody. And it's a large gathering. It's a beautiful gathering. You get to see people in your community, not just in your own mosque and other mosques. And after the prayer, one of the customs is to greet people, to see and give people blessings and good wishes on that day. And so that is what we were doing after the prayer. We're greeting our community members. People take pictures with friends. There's people that you only see on Eid day. And after we did all that, we went to the main level of the Excel Center, and we're doing some pictures there. There's a picture that I always do every year right outside the front gates of my children. And my son stands in the middle and he grabs his sisters as hard as he can. So I wanted to recreate that picture at the front. I was with my best friend of 15 years and my sister and my 3 children. And I said, let's go outside, I want to do that picture. And it had just rained or it was wet, so they were like, why do you want to? And I said, no, I gotta do my recreative picture. It was about 11 o'clock. And we went outside. I did get my pictures. But while I was doing the pictures, a man approached us and was too close for my comfort. And as a mother, I knew that I needed to get to my kids in a safe space. So I said to my sister and my friend that we got to go back in, like, we have to go inside. And as we started heading back inside, I'm thinking that all the doors are open. This man is going to follow us. And he did. He continued. As we were trying to get inside, he made comments stating that he intended to have sexual relations with someone, one of us, and he looked at each one of us, including my 15-year-old daughter and my 10-year-old daughter. In that moment, my sister and my friend started telling the kids to go inside, like, we have to get inside. And we went inside. He followed right inside. As soon as we got inside, I yelled to my sister to please take my children and run. I told her to get away so that I would try to de-escalate, and I'll come, but please just go. Of course she didn't go, but my kids stepped back. He started to pursue me, grabbed my face, and said, give me a kiss. I pulled away. I tried de-escalating. I tried to distract him, say, somebody's calling you. Let's go back outside. Why don't you just go back out? Just go back outside. Nothing. He kept pursuing. So I knew that my children were right there. My sister wouldn't leave. I kept yelling to her to please leave. Please go with the kids. And so I went back outside in hopes that he would come back outside so that he would be away from my children. And there were other families inside still, and I saw them. Nobody intervened. I went outside, and he followed me back out. He again tried to grab my face, and I dodged it. And this time, he got angry, and he slapped me across my face, on my right cheek. In that moment, I stopped trying to de-escalate, and my body went into, I need to get out of this place. I need to get away, because I realized how dangerous he was, how strong he was when he hit me. I tried to move. He followed. My friend followed us outside, was screaming on top of her lungs, yelling for help. There were people, men, that were there, that saw, that did not intervene. At that point, he followed me. He held me back in a chokehold. And I heard somebody saying something to him to leave us alone. He put his other arm out, and in my mind, I immediately looked at his hand to see if he had a weapon. He did not. He had his hand in the shape of a gun. Postured, holding me back again, and he was moving his hand in the direction that the person that was trying to stop him was. I have been diagnosed with a concussion, so I don't know exactly what physically happened to me in that moment, but emotionally, what I felt in that moment, and I knew in that moment, my body went numb, and I thought I was going to die. And my best friend of 15 years was there, and I looked at her, and I looked at her apologetically, that I was going to give up, that I was no longer going to fight, because I knew I was going to die. There were a few people, this is all I know. The next thing I know, he slammed my body into the ground, threw me. I felt nothing, but I shot up and I ran for my life. And my friend and I ran inside, ran through the doors, ran downstairs. Security was downstairs, and they immediately put us into a safe space, a safe room. Inside, my sister had already called the police. We waited downstairs, security was there. I don't know how long we were down there. While we were down there, my 15-year-old had a panic attack, stopped breathing at a moment. Physically, I felt no pain in that moment. I had no idea how I was still alive. The next thing I knew, a security guard came down and said, "You need to give your statement. You and the person that was there." And I said, "I want my children to go home because they don't need to be here." So my sister took my children, and they said that I needed to give a statement. So I went with them to give a statement. They walked me out back through the same doors where my assault happened and walked me 2 blocks to where the police were. I remember walking and saying, "Why are we walking so much?" I walked at least 2 blocks. I saw multiple police cars, police officers, and many civilians that were there. And I was told before that they did have the person that attacked me in custody. He was inside the car. So I went there. The civilians that were there that were also, when I came, there was no ambulance. There was no one there to provide me medical attention. I asked for them to call for medical attention, which then they did. When the medics came, I remember feeling that I had to convince them that I was injured. My neck hurts. My neck is stiff. I feel it. Something is wrong. Can someone please check me? After I described what happened to me, that I was slammed onto the floor. They touched my neck, said, "It's not a spine injury. It's probably muscle pain," and gave me an ice pack and said I should go to the urgent care if I feel more pain later. I'd not go to the hospital. Since then, I've been to 2 different emergency rooms. I was diagnosed with a concussion. I have no feeling in my right shoulder and my right arm. Yesterday, I finally saw my PCP, my doctor. She ordered an MRI of my entire arm, my shoulder. After we gave all our statements, after we were asked, in that moment where it wasn't post-trauma, it was still, I was in that moment. I was asked to even ID the person right there. They opened the door so I can see his face. And then when we gave our statements, said, "Okay, you're good to go." And we walked 3 blocks back to our car. We're not escorted. Walked back to our car. And in that moment, I didn't even ask, like, "Hey, shouldn't I be, I know that now." I just walked back to the car, and thankfully we made it to the car and we made it home. After, when I felt pain, is when I went to my first trip to the ER. And then the next day, when my arm completely went numb, I went to the ER again. more than everything that happened to me in that moment, what's been difficult these last few days, what was the most difficult these last few days, was seeing that the police report did not reflect everything or anything that happened to me. The next day, the police report was given to the media, and it was in national news outlets that this person came up to us and asked us for a kiss. That's all. There were no children. This was not an Eid day. I was not a Muslim. Nothing. That's what's in the report. I know there was a moment that I thought that I was going to die. And the people that came to my aid, the civilians that came to my aid, people that put their own safety on the line, were the ones that saved my life that day, that saved our lives, my children. There were other women and children still in the building. But after all of the re-victimization that happened to me because of the events that happened after, all I kept saying, even in the emergency room, to my sisters that were with me, to my friends, all I kept saying is, if it was anyone else, and they were not a state rep, this is what happens? This is the best we can do? Like, I said to my family, and I've said to my friends, and I will say it today, that if this person was going to grab a woman and do what he did, I'm glad he grabbed me in that building. No one else would have had a press conference. No one else would have had a news story. No one else has the access that I have to people that I have. And even then, I have to come and not focus on my healing. I had to plan when I was trying to plan to speak, because I knew that only I can tell my story, because I allowed for my story to be told the right way, and it was not. I have to plan my medical care around what I need to do to take care of this. And all the while that this is happening, at so many points, I doubted my own self. I was gaslit. When I saw the police report and I read it and I thought, why did I forget to say what happened? You know, why did I not tell them what actually happened? Because I believed it, that is what I probably said. But then when my friend that was with me that also said, she said, we did say. And they have written reports of what we provided and what the witnesses provided, and everyone said the same thing. All I kept thinking about these last few days is what happens to women in the city of Hartford that call the police when they are assaulted, when they experience what I experienced, when they experience sexual assault, when they experience physical assault. What happens? Because if this is what's happening to me, and this is the best we can do, as a state representative that represents the city of Hartford, I cannot be okay with that. I'm not okay with that. And I cannot heal knowing that any day somebody can call and this is the best we can do. So many systems failed that day. And I know that our systems are not perfect. This is why I ran for office. But they cannot be this broken. one of the largest events, one of the largest Muslim events. We screamed inside and outside and nobody came to our aid. No security, no police, nobody. And when I got there in the morning, there was police. When we were entering, there were police. When we had to go through metal detectors to make sure that we're not bringing anything to harm others, there was police. My 10-year-old daughter went through the metal detector and her bangles made them go off, and they had to wand her. There was security to wand her bangles, and there is every year. But when we were screaming for help, nobody came. It cannot be that broken. It should not be that broken. That's not, I won't accept that. So I am going to call on our Department of Justice to do an investigation into how the City of Hartford's Police Department responds to violent crimes, especially violent crimes on women. And I hope that people will stand with me, those that are with me today will stand with me in demanding that. Because if this is our best, I have no idea what our worst is. And I can't imagine. And that is what has stopped my healing process, is I cannot even focus on my own personal healing. Because that's all I'm thinking about. What do other women get? What do other women of color get? What would another Muslim woman have gotten if it was not me outside of that Excel Center? Or it was my friend, or it was my sister, or it was my child. I've thought so much about what's right with the world and what's wrong with the world. And I know that there is so much more right. But we just need to fix so many things to make sure that that is what happens, that people get the care they need when they need it, that people get medical attention when they need it, that we respond to trauma in the way that it should be. That I should not have to convince that I've been injured, that my neck hurts. I shouldn't have to convince, I shouldn't have to prove, I shouldn't have to stand in front of people to tell them that I did get hurt. Please believe me. I just want to thank, finally, those that are with me today that will continue to stand with me moving forward and fight alongside with me to make sure that this does not happen to any other woman, anywhere. Thank you.
Representative, how did the security match up compared to the other annual observances that you attended when you exited? Did you notice a difference in other years? Was there a visible police presence on the streets?
You know, in past years, I haven't necessarily always looked, but I know that right in the front, you never can park there because that's where the police are parked.
Obviously, it's obvious you are comfortable with the position of this park. You mentioned your faith several times. What role do you believe they play either in why you were targeted or how the police and EMS people responded to you there?
I I can't speak to why or what about me and the other women and the children that were with me made this person come after us. I mean, he was walking down the street, there were a lot of other people. I don't know why. I do know that the way that Muslim women are portrayed in the media is we are vulnerable, easy to subdue. But I can't speak to his or anyone's motives.
How about the police and EMS response when you said you were injured?
I can't speak to anyone's motives. I don't know why. I wasn't, which is why I think it's important to have an investigation.
When the police finally recognized what was happening, what was their reaction to you? Were there several police? Did they help escort you? You mentioned that they had you walk to the police department.
They had me walk to the scene where they were, where I believe they apprehended the person that attacked me, which was 2 blocks away from the Excel Center. And they had me walk to this place. I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Just that here you had been injured and traumatized and maybe wasn't even realizing how bad the situation was, and that they didn't suggest that you get medical help at all during that time until you asked for it.
When I got there, I believe there was maybe 2 cars, 4 or 5 police officers, and no medical attention when I arrived. And my sister had called right when everything happened, which was at least 15 minutes before, and told them the extent. She even, because she was inside, when she saw me, had my greatest fall, screamed on top of her lungs. So I know that that was what was told, and when I got there, this is what was there.
She asked if you were escorted.
Oh, and I was not, afterwards, we walked back to our car by ourselves. It's not escorted.
What was your shoulder injury? You said you had an MRI. What did they
I have an MRI next week. So yesterday I went to my doctor, and I told her everything that was, and I did the same in the emergency rooms, but the first day I had no pain in my arm. I had pain in my neck. And the next day I had pain in my arm, and they did do an x-ray, so nothing is broken. But the pain that I have that's causing numbness is more nerve pain, I believe. So she would like an MRI.
Have the Hartford police reached out to you since then?
I don't think this is okay with it.
Yeah, what was the question?
Have the Hartford police reached out to you since then?
I'm not going to answer my discussions with the Hartford Police, and actually I'm not going to take any more questions, but thank you so much for
Thank you.